I was sure you would do some introduction, that's why. Thank you everyone for coming to this last expert talk of this year's performance days. My name is Renate Eder. I work for Vizoo as CCO and Managing Partner of the company. And I have this wonderful group of people with me on Apparel, which before I start introducing what we are talking about, I would like to introduce them or have them introduce themselves with their name, company and job function. Or did you guys know a little bit who is who? Do you want to start, Anja?
My mic will run out of battery. So, hi, my name is Anja Leipner. I'm working for Mammut as 3D developer. I started there 2 years ago to support the whole 3D process, but I have a lot of experience in 3D and other fields, and I have a background in textile, so an educational background. And my first task was to create the trims and fabric libraries for Mammut, and since the 2 years, we also provide 3D simulations for the sell-in and for marketing. Yes.
Hello, my name is Detlef Müller. I'm working for adidas since 25 years now. I'm leading a diverse team of people which are doing research and also software development. And I'm leading also the material library for footwear and apparel. And basically we are a lot of 3D experts working for adidas and trying to roll out the systems to our users at adidas.
Hi, my name is Jenny, and I'm the VP of JML for marketing and sales. So JML is a trim supplier, a soft trim supplier, and we have a manufacturing in China, Vietnam, and Cambodia. So we primarily design, developer, and manufacture soft trims, elastics, draw cord, labels, and hand tags. So I led company 3D implementation since 2018.
Hi, I'm Victor Soka, working for JML as well as VP Finance and Business Development. My background is finance as well as mechanical engineering. I've been involved in the 3D project since 2018. It's been 5 years, believe it or not. So. And it's been so far a very successful road. Thank you.
So thank you very much. So what you can guess from our introduction is that we will talk about the topic of digitization today. Yeah, it's my pleasure to host this panel today. So everyone is talking about AI and the metaverse and NFTs, blockchain, very fresh and new technologies. So it seems that 3D is this established technology with don't have to talk too much anymore, and it seems to be working perfectly. However, in my daily job, I have the feeling that we have not leveraged this technology enough or at its full extent. Yeah? So don't get me wrong, there is no doubt 3D is on the rise, and I guess there's hardly any sportswear brand who has not used it or looked into this topic already. But there is this main goal of 3D reducing calendars, being shorter or closer to market. And now we are wondering if this has already happened yet. And just a few days ago, I stumbled upon a research study from Calypso. It is a consulting company actually in the US. And they found out, or they did an industry survey and found out that in this digital product creation, this goal of shortening the calendars has not, it's not realized yet. So I think it was like 4% or so who said, yeah, we managed to shorten our calendars. So it seems something is happening that it's not there yet. And today with this wonderful group of people, I would like to do a little bit of a reality check. Of course, we will tell you how great 3D is, but I also want to have some more tangible topics. We want to discuss how to make it work. and how connected the supply chain really is in a digital perspective. So what you have heard, there is this group of people with this proven track of 3D. So you will learn a lot how they use it, what they've learned, and what we might have missed on the way. Detlef, 3D in Adidas is 25 years, right? That's what we just heard. Tell us a little bit what you're doing, and maybe you have already some success stories you can share with us. Feel free. Oh, we don't hear you.
Does it work? Yes. In footwear, we started 25 years ago with developing and designing shoes in 3D. Then in apparel around 20 years ago. And success story, basically we do nearly all of our products in 3D for selling. So we're using this 3D assets to create images, real-time 3D assets for selling, which are used by our sales organization to sell to customers the products. The feedback is very good. They say without 3D they cannot do it anymore. That's even better than a photograph, what we hear, because photograph you see the product from 3-4 sides. In our case, you can rotate it. You can review the product in a 3D manner. Yeah? So this is the big success story, and also on the business side, if you think about, we spent in the past every year around 100 million only in salesman samples, and we were able to reduce it by 50%. So that's quite a lot of money we save every year.
Thank you. So now some might say, yeah, okay, this is a 50,000 people company. That's easy. There is a lot of budget. So Anja, with Mammut having a bit less than 1,000 employees, does 3D work as well in this area?
Let's see. Okay, thank you.
And what are you doing? How you implemented it?
Yeah, we're actually a couple. We are 2 people doing the 3D stuff in Mammut, but with a little bit support. But we are quite successful as well. So our new styles also, we have 3Ds for the sell-in process. And we actually had the thing that there was an image coming back from some person, and it took the IT a while to figure out that this was a rendering from 3D and not a photograph, which made me really proud because I did the renderings. Yeah, so for us, it's not the aim to short the timeline. It's more the aim to do less prototypes. So we won't be faster because Mammut is not a fast-forward fashion company. We are quite slow, I would say. But the process already supports the development. So the aim is not to create 2 or 3 prototypes to get the final result you want. The aim is to get a 3D to figure out what's the issue, what do you want to change, what is okay and what is completely wrong, and then get the final result as a product, and that's it. Yes.
Thank you. So there are a lot of application areas. So we heard the reduction of salesman samples, or also what Anja mentioned, to reduce prototypes. Also 3D design is an option. If a 3D designer works in 3D, you need not only the pattern, but a lot of ingredients. You need fabrics, you also need trims. So let's have a little bit of a look on the supplier side. Jenny and Victor, how are you using 3D? How did you come up with the idea? Let us learn a little bit.
So at JML, we started our 3D implementation in 2018. So it's been 5 years. So far, we created a 3D asset platform, so which allows the users to search, browse, and download 3D files. So in that platform, we have 2 libraries. So one is for JML library, the public library, which all users can access and download the files. So the other one is brand-specific library. So only brand users can access it. So far, we have about 950 products in our library. So it's all soft trims. Most of them are elastics. And we have about 200 users from different brands signed up for this service. So all the library contents, like the assets, are free and mandatory, complimentary for all the users.
And just to add to this, as our colleagues mentioned, there are several reasons why 3D, actually the whole Project 3 exists. And on our suppliers' side, the reason we started it just to facilitate for garment producers to use our product, to use our images in their design. Instead of just sampling this and sending samples, we can supply now and we can provide all our products in ideally in digital files, so we can facilitate the design of their products.
What is the feedback from your users?
So far, not. So even though we have 200 users signed up for this, but we could see that the active users are not that many, and at least they can search and browse like the products they want, and then with high quality images. So that we could see that we dramatically reduce our actual sample shipping. So they could see, oh, this is what it looked like, and because in our library we have all the contents, all the 3D files. If the brand is already using the 3D files, they can download the file, and then they can upload to the software they are using. So far, for those active users, they are very happy.
Thank you. Sounds good. Anja and Detlef, you have thousands and thousands and thousands of fabrics, I guess, you use for apparel and footwear. Are all your suppliers working like GML? You can say yes. It's okay.
No.
No.
Would you prefer your suppliers providing you with 3D data? Do you even? I heard from 2 of our other clients that they even, when they onboard new suppliers, they even prefer suppliers with digital capabilities. Is there some measure in your companies as well?
So since 2 years or so, we're working especially with apparel suppliers quite a lot. So there, I think we get around 80% of our materials already supplied in digital format. On the footwear side, it's quite different. No of the suppliers delivers a material to us. So we're working more with the tier 1 suppliers, which producing the shoes. There we have virtual hubs, which are basically scanning and digitizing materials for us. The problem is there, especially in footwear, is that we have really high requirements in quality. And there's also not really a standard format to deliver the materials we need. That's also an issue. So there's no industry standard for this material. So we built 8 years ago or so our own format. But that means if you want to create these materials, you have to train the suppliers that they can deliver the format in the way you need it. And this is something we want to go further in the future and see that a format is created which every software understands and can read and can use it and has the quality we need.
This Calypso survey also highlighted that many companies are struggling to quantify the ROI. Jenny and Victor, or maybe looking at Victor a little bit more than to Jenny, you already started mentioning some of ROIs, like having less shipment, and maybe there are also more intangible ROIs, I don't know. Is there anything you would like to add, what you see really as some return you get on these investments on 3D?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question, and we've discussed it a lot at GML. Actually, why we're doing that and what kind of return we're going to get out of it. And There are two parts of it. The first one is, of course, the quantifiable one that Jenny mentioned. Shorter shipping, cost, smaller shipping cost, shorter time of development. Those you can quantify, but there are some costs that you really cannot quantify in terms of, let's say, previous presentation was about the environment. So if you supply your product in digital formats to manufacturers to design their product, usually the first part of the design is going to be done without actually making a real sample, which reduce the waste. So that's something that really is very difficult to quantify, but that gives us as a supplier an edge to kind of win that manufacturer in terms of supplying our products to them. So it's very difficult to quantify at the beginning, but later on, giving the increase in sales, specifically knowing that those customers are using our product, that can be quantified later. There are some things, of course, that are so far difficult with 3D that kind of have impact on our return on investment on this one. Specifically what was mentioned before, different formats that we have to work with. That's a common problem, and until everybody will get to sort of common format, which is right now is almost impossible, but we believe that it will be. Until then, for us specifically, for JML, it's a question of creating literally several libraries in different formats, which is very, very difficult. So we, so far, concentrate only on specific formats. But in general, you will see the return on investment not run right away. It's a medium to long-term goal for us, and since we've been working since 2018 on this project, only now we see some movement in this area.
Thank you. I think that brings me to my next question. I would invite every one of you to brainstorm together a little bit on these topics, because there seem to be something in it, in this 3D space. But it seems also that 3D is not fully implemented end to end with all of our brands and manufacturers and suppliers. So can we brainstorm a little bit on what the hurdles are, what you see in terms of hindering points? You mentioned already some topics, especially the long-term view. Is there anything you guys want to add in terms of what you think is currently, except for a formatting question, the formatting topic, is there anything which is...
Yeah, what Detlef already mentioned with the standards, because I think that's the same thing we are currently trying our material management to get involved into 3D, and they ask us about standards, what they have to ask suppliers, and I can't tell. So this is currently an issue for us, and I was here on the fair talking to people and they look at me, 3D, what? So this is really difficult at the moment. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I would say the other difficulty is really that you don't have the people which can do it. So I think there's a younger generation, they're really keen on working in 3D. They get trained in universities already, but you still have people in the companies which are working there since 20 years. They don't want to switch to a 3D way of working. Yeah? That's not something you achieve easily. So there's a lot of change management needed, and there's also a certain stamina needed from the management side, because the managers, they want to get this return of investment pretty fast. So they say, hey, we have to get money back in a year or two, but that doesn't work usually. So that takes years to invest into this change management, especially. That people get trained, that people get the time to learn these tools. This takes time. So only to give you an example, in the footwear side, we usually say, even if a person is already trained in 3D somehow, it takes a year until he really understands what needs to be done in footwear in 3D. And the people need to get the time to do that. And that's usually the problem from the management side, that they say, hey, they have to deliver, we're paying them. And that's one of the biggest issues I see.
Seems to be also a clash with like long-term roadmaps and then short-term budgeting, right? But talking about the learning topic, you also told me yesterday, Jenny, which I found super interesting, that it is very complex, right, to have this digital transformation. And you even told me that you even learned about it first before you took on the process. Want to share that? I thought that was wonderful.
Digital transformation is a very broad topic, and when we talk about 3D, it's just a little part of digital transformation. We see it's just a 3D implementation. So at JML, at our management level, and we totally understand that, and so we don't, as Victor just explained, we totally understand this is a long-term investment, and so we won't see the tangible return ROI right away, and so it's a quite difficult journey. It's not easy. So I wouldn't say that when you have the 3D implemented and you finish the digital transformation, it's not like that. Yeah.
Just to add to this one, as in any system implementation, the biggest part, as was mentioned before, is change management. And it's applicable not only to us as a supplier, not only to producers, it's actually applicable to anybody. When we're talking about digital 3D specifically in this area, we need to teach everybody to understand what we actually are talking about here. As was mentioned before, the first reaction when we mention 3D to our customers that are not exposed to this one, the reaction, what are you talking about? We've never heard about it and we don't believe in this. So the first thing is a change management to make people actually believe that this is possible and this is actually working as real product.
Want to add anything? Okay.
I think what we did with our apparel suppliers is basically telling them we have currently perhaps 30% of our apparel designers already working in 3D. And usually they are searching for materials in this digital library. And if the materials of the suppliers are not available in the digital library, they will not use them. That means they're losing business. And this helped a lot to convince them to deliver the materials in a digital format to us. Because basically they will not get chosen and for the products, so no business on their side. Yeah.
That's the reason we are rushing, get everything digitized.
It's possible for you.
Wonderful, thank you so much. So I think we perfectly managed to everyone being scared of 3D now, not implementing anything of that, because it sounds super complex and hard. No, because why I wanted to bring out a little bit those topics is that yes, that it's definitely complex. It is a digital transformation, so we should or we have to think completely differently, and the people have to act completely differently in the day-to-day job, and that takes time. However, when I talked previously to everyone individual, no matter if from a manufacturing or like supplier side or from a brand side, everyone talks about the same topics, because it's not about 3D, it is about this transformation, it is about this digital transformation, and the ROI as well as the issues were the same. So I think it's very tangible at the end, what we have to address and what we have to do. So it's not something very abstract where we have no clue how long it would take to solve those topics. So Jenny and Victor, would you recommend other suppliers to go down the 3D path, or would rather say no? Because what we have seen here, that maybe 5% or so of suppliers in total are working in the 3D space yet.
Definitely. We would recommend everybody actually go to that field. And I will give you an example. 3-4 years ago, when we would talk about Zoom or Teams, nobody would say it is possible to have meetings, it is possible to have a lot of things done virtually. Guess where we are now? we know that this Zoom, Teams, everything is working perfectly fine. The same is applicable to 3D. We just need to believe that it is possible and we can use it in our day-to-day life to design things, to supply things, to see things, how it works, how it looks. Sometimes, you know, in the future, we're going to even probably experience how it feels in 3D. So, thank you.
That's a perfect example, because I also remember when 15 years ago there were all these video calls sent, like stations installed in my previous job's company, and no one was using it. It's really funny. Yeah. Thank you. So I think what we can definitely learn that the ROI for 3D is not coming in these tiny little steps. It only comes when we go in a broader basis, when you reuse the assets and dare to do that on a larger scale. In regards of the time, I would try to close that panel early so that you guys are not stuck in here till night. Maybe one last question. You think the future looks like in a 3D topic? Will the industry finally benefit even more from the 3D space? Will we have no physical samples anymore shipped all over the world? It may be a short take from every one of you to close this panel.
I think we still keep physical samples because we are apparel and apparel lives from the samples, but much less than we have currently. And I think that is really important, especially regarding the sustainable part. But yeah, you can show all the alternative colorways in digital form. You can go out and show all the logo-wear stuff with the new artworks on it with a digital sample, and you don't have to create a physical sample for everything, and that is great.
I wouldn't add anything more because this is exactly the topic. Physical samples will never go away because we still want to feel them, to wear them, to touch them, but we do less. And basically the whole 3D digital world helps to make them faster, easier, with less mistakes. That's where the big benefit is.
From supplier perspective, and we could see that it will dramatically reduce the sample run, especially for the color. So color iteration, the width iteration, and artwork change. With that color iteration done in 3D software, and the color adoption rate will dramatically increase. So that's a big thing from the supplier point of view, but physical sample will still be there.
Just to add to this, we still live in a physical world, you know. So it's difficult to get rid of physical samples. Yes, we're going to have them, and to others' points, it's just going to be dramatically less.
Before we close the panel, can I ask you to show your appreciation for the five of them on stage? And this is the bit where I stand up and invite questions. Now, if you've got questions, they're going to want you to volunteer them, because otherwise I start to ask them questions and I get a bit too techie. Because I'm going to throw at you guys initially until I see someone standing in. We've sorted out 3D, pretty much so. We've done colour really well. When can we do tactile feel? How close are we?
We already have a research project regarding the topic at the Technical University of Dresden. There was a project about this.
And what did you think of it?
I actually can't tell you because I just had the contact with the persons there and was not able to try it so far. But I know that they had a quite good result. Yeah, so you can touch on your iPhone the fabric.
I know we've run versions at the University of Leeds, and it's not good enough. That's all I'm prepared to say, because otherwise I'll be slaughtered. The rest of the panel, have you yet got onto tactile feel?
So I know the same research project. I never tried it before, but what I heard is that it feels good. But for sure, I think we're still far away for really replacing the touch and feel of a piece of fabric. Yeah. Because it's not only the touch, it's also how you grab it, how you squeeze it, and so on. Yeah.
It's also the shine, it's the natural drape. There are other factors, but we need to start with tactile, I think, first.
Yes.
Not from the touch point. So we are still working on the physics.
Okay.
Physics, especially for the narrow tape, stretch, recovery, modulars. And we're trying to get every single piece of our products to have the physics. So that's what we are working on. But if the technology evolves, and definitely we will add the touch and feel into our product 3D file.
We never said that this project is over, so it's a long road. I can tell you that.
Renate, I'd like to know your views as well. But you have a greater holistic overview. What else should we be thinking?
I tell you about a research project.
No, I mean, I know about the tactile because it's come through Future Fashion Factory. But what other things are on the wider radar, would you say?
In terms of tactile?
No. In terms of digitizing the supply chain, what other aspects could actually happen? I mean, are we going to get to the stage when generative AI predicts what our order quantities are?
Sounds good. Yeah, so also if I add to the tactile, I think whenever you do 3D or any other technology, you always have to also ask what is the problem you want to solve, right? Is the tactile giving you this additional information to do what, yeah? Or am I just checking out either an artwork, if my colors match, or if the entire look of my outfit work, and maybe then the tactile is not relevant. What we see now still, even if I painted a little bit of critical picture today about 3D, is that we see many of our clients really working on the scaling of the 3D, which brings up other topics like how can I validate that my fabric digitized somewhere in Taiwan ending up in Herzog or in Switzerland is the correct fabric if I've never seen it. Like, how do I validate what I get? How can I prove that the data, when I would prove this virtual style or this virtual fabric, that I really get what I saw. So it's a lot about how to scale and how to validate to bring that on really on a different level, I would say. Something we are working on at the moment.
I'm glad you're more in touch with the future than I am, but I'm still waiting for questions from the audience. We've got Christine. Christine works in the supply chain, so beware.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Extremely interesting panel, I think. Can I have 2 questions? Okay. So my question goes to Jenny and to Victor. First of all, Jenny, you talked about your efforts and your success with color approval. I know from my own experience that color is a sensitive area. And was it hard for you to convince your clients or the brands to trust in digital color approval?
This is a really good question. Our experience so far is that for trims, usually our color adoption rate in bulk production is about less than 50%. And we reached out to lots of our clients and asked them why. Why is that? And they said usually what they would do is one color tone, they would choose different colors. And then but at the end, they only use one. So with this digitization, color iteration, and then they can at least see what is, can be eliminated. And so that will eventually to increase the adoption rate. So it will take time, a lot of education piece, but it's also education. We educate our clients, but also the brands inside. They need their education internally, that piece as well. But we saw some successful examples already.
As I mentioned before, where the problem is, it's a change management. We need to make our customers to believe that actually whatever they are getting in a digital file represents 100% the physical sample. So initially, there is a very low level of that belief that sits there with our customers. But over time, when you supply the digital file along with the physical example, and the customers can see that it's actually identical, that level's going up. So it's a road right now to the better. So, but we're not where we want to be yet.
Can I add here something? Yeah, sure. So usually what you also need as a customer of these colors, basically as the brand, is that you have the facility to really prove colors. So you need a room, darkened room, calibrated monitors, better monitors than usual, where you can really review these colors. Otherwise, on your laptop monitor, it will not work. Yeah.
Everybody needs to be aware of the setup and to take care that you speak the same language, let's say. And then I have a second question, also to Jenny and to Victor. With you, when you work with your production partners, do you already work digitally, or is that an analog process?
That's and not yet digitally, but this is the next step we're gonna do for production, for concept development, new development. So that's the next step.
We're not there yet, as Jenny mentioned, and to your point, it's not only about an actual file that we're working. It's about equipment. It's about process. It's about properly design of the process that is understandable to everybody. Doesn't matter where you ask the question. At the beginning, in the middle, at the end, so everybody understands what we're actually doing, what kind of equipment we need, what kind of process we're following.
Thank you.
Are we going to let the panel get away? Because I'm still not seeing other questions wanting to be asked. Renate, I'm going to have to say, on behalf of the audience, thank you and your panel. Can we once again show our appreciation for the people up on stage?